always went to, the one on the mountain.
Yeah.
Never go in, go out, or out there.
That's where I got my second COVID shot, and my third COVID shot was over here.
I gotta go get another cold shot. I kind of forgot about it, honestly. The last couple of weeks. Because I got the flu shot, and I was like, okay, I need to wait 2 weeks. And that's when all hell kind of erupted. And I just forgot. Well, that's the start of her position.
Will you show me a picture?
Sergio? Okay, it's that time. And I will call to order our Monrovia City Council meeting this Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026 at 7:35 PM. And we will start out with an invocation with Barbara Golar. Barbara, good evening. Followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Edward Belden.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council and staff and community. Let us take a moment to pause to be fully present. We gather with gratitude for this city, for the people who call it home, and for the responsibility of service entrusted to this council. May the spirit of wisdom guide each conversation, the spirit of compassion shape every decision, the spirit of peace remain at the center of this space, and honor the rich diversity of our community, our cultural histories and perspectives. May we remember that unity is not sameness, but a commitment to listen, to respect, and to work together for the common good. May this City Council help bring our shared hopes into reality, transforming values into actions and intentions into outcomes that uplift every resident. May the work done here tonight strengthen trust, foster belonging, and move our city forward with care and courage. Thank you.
Amen. Sergio. I mean, Edward. I'm looking at Sergio and I'm thinking,
Ready, begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you, Edward. Yeah, Sergio did it earlier. Okay, can we please have roll call?
Council members Belden,
Here.
Jimenez,
Here.
Spicer,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly,
Here.
and Mayor Shevlin.
Here. And then moving on, we do not have a report of closed session. I will just mention that the city council did meet for 2 special study sessions prior to this. We had great study sessions. But there is no reporting out of a closed session. Moving on then to presentations and proclamations. We have PR1 proclaiming February 26th as Black History Month, and the recipient of that is the Monrovia Doherty Black Alumni Association, and here to receive that is Barbara Golar, and you might have, is there anyone else joining you?
Gina Mills.
Oh, Gina's here, and then Sheila's not here. Well, I will read this proclamation, and I will mention that I had the honor and the pleasure to appear at the kickoff on Sunday at the high school, the theater there, and I was able to read that for the kickoff. and the Monrovia Doherty Black Alumni Association did show the film 100 Years from Mississippi. If you have the opportunity to see it, it is an excellent, excellent, excellent film. And I know that Larry was there with me on Sunday. And you were there? I missed you. It's a big place. And anyway, it's such a great movie, and it chronicles what was her last name?
Kirkland.
Kirtland. And at the time they did the special, 107 years old. She died at 111. But the things that she lived through, her family, her friends, her community, just remarkable that she was such a remarkable woman and had no animosity in her heart. I don't know that most of us could say that after all the injustice and horribleness that occurred in her life. But at any rate, I'm going to read this. Proclamation of the City of Monrovia. Whereas during Black History Month, we celebrate the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development. And whereas much of Monrovia's strength and character, past and present, can be attributed to African Americans in the community, and whereas this should not be just a month-long celebration, but a daily dose, as African Americans have played a central role in our nation's history, and our country is great because of our diversity. And whereas the Monrovia Doherty Black Alumni Association, in partnership with the City of Monrovia, hosts several community events throughout the month, including a kickoff celebration, luncheon, and art exhibit, to name a few. Now, therefore, I, Becky Shevlin, Mayor of the City of Monrovia, California, along with the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2026 as Black History Month, and encourage the community to learn more about the contributions made by notable African Americans and take part in one of the many Black History Month celebrations occurring in Monrovia. And again, if we have, I know that you can Google it and find the 100 Years from Mississippi. If you have the opportunity, that movie is absolutely fantastic.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And Barbara, did you, obviously, you want to say a few words, and then we can come up
Oh,
and take
yes,
a
yes.
picture?
First of all, actually want to thank you, Mayor, and Dr. Kelly and Larry for being there. It really meant a lot for the community, as well as having some school officials there as well. And it was also very important that because we co-sponsored it with the Black Student Union at the high school. And those two young ladies did a very good job. And
Yes, they
look
Yes, they
forward
did.
to having them participate more in the events that we have throughout the year.
So, did you want to say something, Genia?
Well, actually,
Okay.
I want to actually say one more other thing, is that, we ended with, thinking of history. Actually, the theme is celebrating 100 years of Black History Month. And so this is what we ended, the closing remarks and reflections on actually watching the film. Excuse me. We honor the past, we carry the truth, we learn, we remember, and we grow together with courage, compassion, and hope. We commit to shaping our future rooted in dignity, justice, and unity.
Yeah, thank you. And I did want to, I'll just say with the overview of the movie, the life of Mamie Lang Kirkland, a 111-year-old African-American woman who experienced and survived racial terrorism, segregation, bigotry, and bias, and continued to have hope, joy, and love of life, full of the certainty that people can do better. And it was 100 years since she thought she'd never go back
Yeah,
to Mississippi.
her family had to, they left Mississippi when she was 7. Thought of her father being lynched. So that's why they left
Right.
in the middle of the night.
At
And
the
so-
age of 7.
Yeah, she was 7 years old.
And so then she went back then at age 107,
Seven, yeah.
100 years. Okay, let's come down and
Okay.
take a picture.
I always ask that question. Always ask that question.
Oh, no, it's okay. But it was dark.
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Sure.
there's something special happening in this month. A very special person was born in the month of February.
I thought we
and
just did my.
Lincoln, Lincoln,
Other than,
Washington, maybe?
and we want to celebrate you. We spared no expense. Let me tell you, we put in the big bucks.
You baked those right before coming to the meeting.
Big bucks. Yay. Now, should we sing happy birthday? Do we sing happy birthday?
My birthday's on next Wednesday, the 11th.
So on the count of three, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday, Becky and Lauren.
Oh, and
Happy birthday to you.
happy birthday.
And many
All
more.
right.
Many more.
And I even get a Super Bowl ring. All right.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Nice.
Uh,
That's a big ring.
Uh,
Diamonds are in it?
Happy birthday, Lauren. And I know Alice had a birthday, was it over the weekend? Sunday? So Alice's birthday too.
Chocolate.
You don't get a candle, Larry.
I just had mine. Mm-hmm. You an Aquarius, Becky? Mm-hmm. Oh, Lauren? No wonder we all get along. Thank you, Chief. You the man, I don't care what they say. Thank you, Chief.
Jeremy, I'm gonna take, I think this is it. All right. Well, thank you very, very, very much. Oh, your birthday's today? Oh, well, that's even more special.
Whose?
Happy birthday, Lauren. February babies are great. I guess
January.
good, great company with Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. I think Frederick Douglass was also born in February. Okay. Moving along then, we have our student government representative, and I apologize to her. I kept on calling her Elsie. It's Elise. And Elise, please, please present your report.
Thank you, Mayor Shevlin, council members, and members of the community. Good evening to you all. Over the past few weeks, MHS has been extremely busy, and it's been encouraging to see such strong participation and support from students, staff, and the community. Last Friday, the entire student body attended the Winter Stranger Things rally, where staff and students engaged in games, competed for the Spirit Stick, and overall gained a sense of community. Following that event, on Saturday, we hosted our Snowball Sadie's Dance, which was a huge success. By lowering ticket prices, we were able to increase attendance and make the event more accessible, which resulted in a higher level of student engagement and a positive atmosphere overall. Additionally, last week we held senior night for boys soccer, girls and boys basketball, and girls water polo. These events were meaningful celebrations for our seniors and were well attended by families, peers, and community members. Looking ahead, we are continuing to recognize our students, with girls soccer senior night taking place tonight. We also have our annual Wake-a-thon coming up next Friday, which is an important event that brings students together, promotes school spirit, and community involvement. In addition, preparations are well underway for Miss Monrovia, an event that students look forward to every year that highlights creativity and is a great way for students to get involved.
What is a wake-a-thon?
So it's on Friday night, so you get there at 8 p.m. and you leave at 6 a.m. And I believe there's 8 teams with a teacher on each one, and you just compete in games to see who takes home the trophy.
All night long. Oh,
Yeah, this is the first year I'm going, so we'll see how it is
And if you want to go to sleep, you sleep on that
on the floor.
basketball.
I think it'd be hard with so many people there.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, we're kind of approaching a lull in major events, but it's only temporary. Activity will begin to pick up again soon as we move further into spring sports senior nights and additional events. Thank you all for your continued support of our students, staff, and school programs, and for allowing us to share these updates with you tonight.
And thank you very much, Elise.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as usual, you're more than welcome to stay, but we understand if you've got other things that you need to tend to this evening. Okay, moving on then is, I don't believe we have any changes to the order of our business. And so we will move on to our consent calendar, which are items CC1 through CC5 and are considered routine in nature and can be enacted in one motion unless there's an item that needs to be pulled. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second, then without further discussion, then so approved. We will move on then at this time to our public comment period and input period, and we thank you for coming and joining us this evening. This is your opportunity to comment to the City Council on any item that is not on the agenda. You can also comment later on actual agendized items, but this is your time for public input. You have 3 minutes to address the City Council. And City Clerk, do we have any
Yes, we'll
requests?
start with Mr. Nelson.
Mr. Nelson?
Good evening, Council. I hope everybody had a good holidays and is having a good New Year so far. I'd like to categorically denounce political violence and corruption, both big and small, especially the political violence with what's been happening lately. Okay. Regarding corruption, I would like to, speaking of which, I would like to cover a review of what I've been speaking of at the past council meetings regarding Community Media of the Foothills, charity nonprofit, which is also known as KGM TV, and may wisdom guide our path as we take a look at that. Over the past several meetings, I've covered effusive praise and how that's used as covering up things. Again, it's effusive praise, not praise, effusive praise. It's deliberately meant to cover things to where we're only looking at some things but not others. Also, we've talked about corruption and what to look at to recognize what corruption is and our tolerance for corruption. Both the citizens of Monrovia and the City Council. You know, what is too much corruption? A little bit of corruption? A medium amount of corruption? Is that tolerable? Is it, when we get to a lot of corruption, is that when something's done about it? We're going to also look at that now that it's 2026, because we're going to go into more details and actual facts. One of the things we're going to look at is several of us do not believe the current leadership at Community Media of the Foothills, charity, also known as KGM TV, is legitimate. We're going to go over the details of why we think that, the legalities of what we see with a common reading, things of that sort. We're also going to compare what's been happening there to the actual list that's in the California Attorney General's guide for charities. And that list literally, that states a charity should not do this, 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 and this other thing, and it literally reads like a list of what's been happening at Community Media of the Foothills, also known as KGM TV. So we're going to go over that in detail. With that in mind, I have over 100 points of interest. I've kind of laid the groundwork in the prior meetings. We're going to get into actual facts. I'm going to cite documents, dates, video recordings, audio recordings, and actual factual things that any objective person can look at and say, okay? When we get into those facts, what we're doing is we're trying to educate the City Council when they vote, and we're going to be educating the citizens when they vote. I do believe this is an election year. I haven't looked to see exactly who on the council is up for election this year, but we do want to make sure that the citizens are involved in this because hundreds of thousands of dollars are being spent on an organization that several of us believe are run by an illegitimate leadership and engaging in financial mismanagement over several years. So we'll cover that in detail. If you want to find out information, I'm providing the actual documents. Some of the things I emailed to the city. Some things you can actually sign up for the mailing list at cmfboardmonrovia@gmail. And that's who some of us believe is the legitimate leadership, is the Finance Committee
Mr.
and the
Nelson,
Executive
can you
Committee.
wrap it up?
Yeah, we're almost done.
Thank you.
Finance Committee and the Executive Committee that started the investigations. Again, you can reach them at cmfboardmonrovia@gmail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sherry Lochner.
Good evening, Sherry.
Good evening, everyone. As you'd be aware, my name is Sherry Lochner, and I'm a resident of Monrovia. I grew up here in Monrovia and Duarte. I am here this evening to continue to advocate for day laborers and other people who are immigrants and U.S. citizens targeted by ICE. As you would be well aware, ICE is continuing with their fascist unlawful practices of detaining, kidnapping, and as we have seen recently, killing people throughout our country. In this year, 2026, there have already been 10 deaths due to ICE actions. Last year in 2025, there were at least 35 people who died as a result of ICE actions. I stand here this evening because I and my colleagues refuse to allow the government to sweep these deaths under the carpet. My colleagues and I have reinstalled the memorial for Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez several times, and we will continue this practice for as long as needed. We want to see a permanent memorial for Carlos to commemorate his life and acknowledge his death as a result of the brutal, unjust tactics of ICE. I am pleased to hear that the city manager is working with some members of the local clergy to establish a memorial. Thank you for your efforts. The Monrovia City Council's silence on Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez's death is deafening. I expect more of elected leaders. When are you, as our elected leaders, going to speak truth to power? My questions for this City Council this evening are: 1. What progress has been made on securing the report investigating the circumstances resulting in Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez's death? And 2. When is the City Council going to stand up to the authoritarian actions of this federal government and denounce the ICE raids and secure justice for Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez? As Mahatma Gandhi said, the true measure of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable members. I stand for justice. I stand for compassion. Where do you stand? Yo soy Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. Gracias.
Thank you.
Next, Martha Mack.
Hello. Hello, Mayor, Council, and community members. I would like to start with a quote from Nelson Mandela. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's own chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. In 2025, as Sherry mentioned, at least 35 people died as a direct result of unlawful ICE actions. These people were Henry Ruiz Guyen, Sarawat Gezahen Dehene, Maxim Cherniak, Juan Alexis Tineo Martinez, Brian Garceau Rayo, Non Ngoc Nguyen, Marie Ange Blaze, Abelardo Avellenda Delgado, Jesus Molina Vella, Johnny Noviejo, Isidro Perez, Tien Xuan Fan, Chao Feng Gay, Lorenzo Antonio Batres Vargas, Oscar Duarte Rascon, Santos Benegas Reyes, Ismael Ayala Uribe, Norlan Guzman Fuentes, Miguel Ángel García Medina, Hua Bing She, Leo Cruz Silva, Hassan Ali Moed Saleh, Josue Castro Rivera, Gabriel García Aviles, Kai Yen Wong, Francisco Gaspar Andres, Pete Sumalo Montejo, Shiraz Fatehaye Sachwami, Jean Wilson Brutus, Fawad Saeed Abdul Kadir, Delvin Francisco Rodriguez, Nenko Stanev Ganchev, Jose Castro Rivera, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, Jaime Alanis Garcia, and in our city, Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. In 2026, 10 people have already passed away. Keith Porter, Geraldo Lunas Campos, Renee Nicole Good, Javier Sanchez Dominguez, Victor Manuel Diaz, Paradila, Luis Beltran Yanes Cruz, Luis Gustavo Nunez Caceres, Wael Tarabiche, and Alex Jeffrey Preddy. Hopefully, there are no more.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, we have no more speaker cards.
Anyone else wishing to address the city council at this time on items not on the agenda? Not seeing anyone, then I will close public input, and we will move on then to our reports of city manager and staff. RCM 1, Mr. Feek.
Couple updates I'd like to provide the council on, most of which are not on the directives log. But you can see the current outstanding directives log. That's part of the council packet. I'd like to highlight a few items that I think are of importance to the council. First, I received notice from the county that on Tuesday, February 10th, the Board of Supervisors will be reviewing what's known as the Healthcare Funding Restoration Act. St. John's is leading a ballot measure to designate which is designed to raise revenue for health services for countywide. This is proposing a temporary voter-approved sales tax to bolster healthcare access and public health capacity across Los Angeles County. The intention is to respond to real financial pressures, but also raises important considerations around tax burden, governance, and long-term sustainability. The proposed tax would be a half-cent countywide transactions and use tax. Voter threshold is simple majority. It would sunset April 1st, 2032. Would add a new chapter of the county code. There would be a prescriptive for how the funds would be spent. And I think what's important to note is, and we've learned this through the city's efforts around Measure K and increase our own local option sales tax, but under current state law, local jurisdictions, including cities and counties, are limited to 2% cap on local sales and use taxes unless explicit action is passed by the legislature to allow exemptions and increases. This was demonstrated in 2023 when Los Angeles County undertook legislative action, AB 1679, to enact Measure A and increase our sales tax beyond that limit that is allowed. There are local representatives, not in Monrovia, but in the region, who are looking to propose the ballot measure at the legislature. But I think it's something that we're keeping an eye on and how that impacts us here in Monrovia and even countywide. What are the uses for the tax? How will it be allocated? Will it return to help benefit Monrovians? But also, how are they going to address this cap? In the past, what had been explained is that once you hit the cap, then the sales tax is not collected and paid here, but I think what we've learned over the years is they get that exemption from state law, at least in Measure A. They're able to increase the cap for sales tax. That's been a significant item of interest from our residents as we've gone on these Measure K roadshows and shared information about Measure K. So we'll follow along and see what the county decides at their meeting next week, and we've asked our Supervisor Barger's representatives to keep us updated and in the loop on that item. I also want to highlight a few matters of additional matters. Yesterday, it was reported to the city that there was a flock camera installed over on East Royal Oaks Avenue. What made this one interesting is it was not one of our flock cameras, and it is not registered, at least to the extent we know now, it's not registered with any of our neighboring cities or public agency that we're aware of, and it just showed up on city property. So we've removed the camera. We'll find out who the owner is in short time, but it's unusual that we find a surveillance camera on public property, and certainly without permission, we removed it pretty quick. I want to address a comment made earlier about Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez. As council is aware, we have requested the investigative report into his death, which is being conducted by CHP. They have not provided that report. I suspect that they will not, but we'll continue to ask. We have submitted letters in writing to the governor's office, the attorney general's office, at the direction and request of the city council, which, as we know, we can't have a dialogue back and forth here in the council chamber, but I've met with representatives of local clergy. Mrs. Lochner was there at the first meeting, and I provided insight and guidance into how they would go about doing a mural. A lot of considerations around where is it going to be placed, who's going to pay for it. If the request is that the city pay for the mural, design the mural, put it on public property, that's a different approval threshold or process than if it was on private property. It was decided by residents who are passionate about it and so on and so forth. So we tried to provide that information to them, information about property and where it could be possible locations. I do think there's interest that the mural be somewhere near the location where Carlos Roberto Montoya Valdez died. And so I'll continue to answer and respond to questions and provide information that we can. And I've encouraged them at some point where they have a proposal or an item that they're actually requesting of the city, not just that they want to see a mural, but what is the mural? Where's it going to be? I told them I would bring that to the city council for your information and any direction you may provide.
Dylan, can I ask you real quick on the report from the state? Do they give any indication either where, in what time frame or whatever, or the process or anything like that?
No.
No.
Sorry. Possibly, Craig, I think you could answer this. Is the state of California required to make their investigation public?
Not required, no. And there are reasons, I'm sure, why they would consider it, why they would classify it as confidential, but there's no requirement that I'm aware of that it be a public. If there is a report, that it be a public document.
Have they responded to us at all? And so they just don't even respond?
I did speak with an attorney from the governor's office, but we have not spoken with CHP on their investigation. And let me just clarify as well, CHP, a representative reached out to us on the day of the incident, verifying names and I believe the certain hours with our staff. So we did speak with CHP on the day of the incident. But to my knowledge, that's the only knowledge I had that we spoke with them. That's all that I have heard. I'll make a note to follow up again. It's been several months. I'll follow up again. But that was the same information that was relayed by attorneys from the governor's office.
Well, especially if they're not going to give us the report, could they just say we're not providing a report?
Yep, I'll follow up. A few remaining items. Last week on Monday, the 26th, between 2 and 3 o'clock, we responded to a call at there was a suspect who had stolen goods from a store on Foothill Boulevard. And the reason I point this out is it just emphasizes the coordination and collaboration with our lockdown and safety procedures with the school. At the time that the call came in, and officers were responding and we knew he was heading in the direction of the high school, I was really pleased to hear that our staff already had the direct contact number for the principal, the new principal. And our school resource officer and the cap sergeant were already on the phone calling him, letting him know we're in the area, we're coming that direction. The school and their staff actually saw the suspect come onto the campus property. And so even though they initiated lockdown procedures and got people safe, because we just didn't know at the time whether there were weapons or what happened or what have you, staff were able to respond, detain him on the grounds, and I think it was just a very successful outcome. I think our practices and the training had worked very well, and we were just really pleased with the outcome. And I think that was just something that we wanted to just highlight to the city council. The new news that everyone is now aware of, Look Cinema abruptly shut their doors. We received official notice at 8:33 a.m. yesterday morning. Even despite several months of planning the State of the City address, it was a surprise to the city. We're currently working to relocate the State of the City address to the Louise Taylor Performing Arts Center at the high school. We are finalizing some details. We'll share them with council and then more broadly to the community once everything is final and we're certain that we can proceed as planned. But the way it's looking right now, we're very optimistic that we can just change the location and keep the date. So we'll finalize all that. And the staff in the city manager's office, community services office, and certainly the school district have been very helpful. So we're very grateful that we could find a new location. And we'll make sure, I'm certain that Lauren and the team and Tina and her team will make the community and make our city shine again, even with this change of venue at the last minute.
And we're very grateful. Thank you.
You're most
for all
welcome.
your hard work.
And the last but not least item I want to share is we received notice this actually came from Cal Cities, that Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Tamla Kelly recently completed the California Civic Leadership Institute. This program is designed to help elected officials understand the mechanics of state government. So as you know, 3 of our council members all have committee assignments with Cal Cities. Very busy, not only here in Monrovia, but even beyond, helping cities with governance issues across the state. But I think this was just an important notice that we received. I just wanted to make sure and highlight that to the council. So that's my report this evening. Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Feek? Great, thank you very much. Okay, now we will move on to our reports of city council members, and I'll start with you, Mr. Belden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is one, I think some of my updates are ones that we all had the pleasure to participate and actively engage in. The really exciting launch of One City, One Story, and how many people have finished the book yet? Everyone's going to raise their hand, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm halfway through, but we got a few months, so you can make it last if you want to. But it's just an amazing opportunity for the community to come together and really reflect together and think about one thing. And there's tons of great events So I thank you to all the members that are helping on that steering committee. And there's a lot going on outside all the time. So it's exciting.
It definitely does provoke conversation.
Yeah, we won't let the mayor tell us how much she loves the book. She just will go on and on. Buffy's retirement party was a blast. To anyone that missed it, I'm sorry, but and we all miss her, and that's for sure. At least I miss her a lot. And I mentioned community right at the beginning, and I think that's just where I want to just stop and talk for a moment about that. It's just there's a lot going on out there, and it's great that we have a community that's willing to come together and talk together. And heard some of those prayers today of just peace, unity, understanding, and just the fact that we just have more things that we can all count that are similar and that unite us than divide us. And we should always, I think it was even in the Pledge of Allegiance, indivisible is kind of in there. So maybe we just need to think back sometimes on that, and don't let people divide you. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Edward. Mr. Spicer.
Yes, Mayor, I have a brief update from Community Services. This past weekend, Canyon Park opened the new quarterly exhibit in the Nature Center. The exhibit is Wonders of the Universe, featuring the Sidewalk Astronomers. The Sidewalk Astronomers are a dedicated group of volunteer astronomy enthusiasts who are often seen in Library Park sharing their high-tech technologies with the community. The exhibit is designed to stir interest and create a deeper appreciation for our beautiful universe. And we would like for everyone to visit the Nature Center on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. to check out this fascinating and educational display. I was going to give an overview of the 100 years of Mississippi, but Becky did a good job, so I've already reported to Dylan on that. Also, I was going to bring up the booklet that the president of the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni, along with change makers, made, but Dr. Kelly has the book, so I wasn't going to, no, I'm not going to go in your lane. So that completes my report.
Thank you, Larry. Sergio?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Quite often, the public what they'll see of Monrovia, they'll look at the parks, they'll look at the streets, they'll look at the buildings, they'll look at the physical. But Buffy's retirement really brought home just how important people are. And Buffy dealt with something that the public doesn't look at, the numbers. And the job that she did, that she brought the city to a AA+ credit rating. At her retirement, I didn't realize how many awards they flashed on the screen. Several awards. Some of them were for her individually, and some of them were for the finance department as a whole, but she was leading the finance department. So again, Buffy had the leadership role. She was really an unsung hero. I think that was the best way I can describe her. And a lot of times the public doesn't know about these people. People that handle the numbers. It's not just the physical things that make Monrovia look good. It's the people handling difficult tasks. And finance is a difficult task. So I just wanted to say that was really a celebration of a city whose staff is more like family and a continuity of the excellence that Monrovia city staff has shown throughout the years. So it was exciting to be there. And I wanted to also compliment Barbara. It's too bad that she already left. Her prayer, I really made an important point that unity doesn't mean that sameness, doesn't mean that we're all exactly the same or that we agree on everything, but that we share the bigger picture, the bigger, more important values. I thought it was one of the most powerful prayers I've heard since I've been here in a city council. That's been like 3.5 years. It's so simple, but really brought home the point. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And Tamala?
Thank you. It's Black History Month, and I also had the opportunity to see this very important film, and I just want to invite the community out to be able to pay attention to what's going on in the community. There's so much going on, but this month there's going to be some particular events that you could partake in. But when I was at the event on last Sunday, the One City, One Story kickoff in the library, I was able to pick up this book I didn't even know that existed, and it's Trailblazers of Monrovia. So it's very specific to our city, and you can get this book through maps. Perhaps you could go online and go to our website, or you can go to the library, get some information on that. But it's by, like Larry said, Change Makers, Monrovia Area Partnership, Art in Public Places, and the Monrovia Duarte Black Alumni. And it is well done. Very proud of those groups that I just mentioned for making such a great piece of great art in here, great stories. And this came from communities, nonprofit organizations right here in our community, really celebrating change makers in this community. So it's great. I didn't know it existed until this past Saturday.
That's
Yes.
volume 1 of many more to come.
Oh, many more to
Great.
come.
Yes.
That's
Great.
amazing. So we'll be looking out for that.
Where
Where do you get these from? I forgot to ask, but I mentioned all those, the people that made it, so maybe we could,
They
somebody
have
want to
them
get
At the
one?
different events, what was that story about across everyone's reading?
One
Monrovia?
story.
Yeah, it was
They're
out.
at all the events.
Yeah, so we'll talk to Dylan. If you want to get this book, and if we've confused you on how to get it, don't worry about it. Talk to Dylan, and he will be able to direct you on where to get
Put
it.
it on Dylan.
It's something that we should have. Okay, I wanted to I'm very leery of announcing more things of our fantastic library because it's just inviting more and more people. And I want to say that we want to make it bigger before we invite more people, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to tell you what's going on. On Thursday, February 12th, from 5 to 7, the Library Veterans Resource Center will be hosting a paint and sip event in the library community room. This is a free program for veterans and service members along with their family and friends. This program is designed to create community for our local veterans and attendees. We'll be sipping on adult beverages as they paint. Did you hear that part? As they paint tranquil nature scenes. Space is limited and registration is required, but we definitely want to limit this event to veterans, okay? I know it's an exciting event, but it's for veterans and their families and loved ones. Just in time for Valentine's Day on Friday, February 13th, from 4:30, youth ages 9 through 14 are invited to the library to make chocolate-covered strawberries. This is a free event, and registration is open. That sounds amazing. Thank you. That's all I have.
Great, thank you very much. And for my report, I did want to, last meeting, I had talked about the sanitation, the Los Angeles County Sanitation District and the 218 process and for the increase in taxes. You should have all received by now in the mail, if you live in LA County, if you own property, notice of public hearing regarding potential change in wastewater service rates. That public hearing is Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 at 1:30 at the Joint Administration Offices on 1955 Workman Mill Road, Whittier. But Dylan is going to put this information in his weekly update and some links that you can access information regarding this 218 process, but I wanted you to be aware. I hope you didn't throw it away. There is information in this mailer, but Mr. Feek will include that in his weekly update. And there's many opportunities to either hear information or ask. There's public meetings and tours and things like that. I also wanted to comment, and yes, Sergio, I wrote that little note too, and Larry, what you commented on, the unity is not being the same. And that is really, really important. And we talk about in city council how we work as a team. We're not all the same. We've got different viewpoints. We're different ages, all sorts of things. There's a great diversity, and it's how you get things done. So unity is not always being the same. It's how we work together to get something done. And I think Monrovia is a very good example of how we work together. And yes, please, and I know that calendar is, we have a link on our website, and also I believe it's included in Mr. Feek's update about the One City, One Story events around town. And it's not just, there are many different events that are happening. So please take advantage of that. And I did want to plug, since we were talking about the library, and Dr. Kelly talked about how popular it's become. In our study session, we learned that from 2021-22, it was around 16,516 program attendance. These are the trends of attendance. To 24-25, all the way up to 45,109. That is a huge increase. And staff does such a great job, and we are a very popular group. So keep up the good work. We just need to find a way to make that library bigger.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. And then, yes, also about Buffy's retirement. We miss her already, but we are looking forward to Ray Bowman and her service to the city. It was very, very, very touching, all the testimonies and things about Buffy and how, like I said, I call her the great financial communicator, because she can always communicate the accounting information in a way that we could understand. And if we didn't understand it, she could help us.
Ray will be the same.
Yes, she will. She does a great job. And Tina, coming up, I will mention that Monday at the coordinating council, we had a special coordinating council presentation or honoring Tina. Special song was, she was serenaded by Keely Milliken and her daughter. The Pasadena Humane Society brought, I asked for puppies, but we got a husky. But it was still very, 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 very special, and everyone went around the room. We had at least 28 to 30 people there, and we all said nice things about Tina. And we broke in Rebecca as in charge of the keyboard in our online meeting. So at any rate, and I did want to mention Mabel Cross attended her, many of us attended her funeral last Saturday. She, that church was packed in Chino. And she was very active in her church, got to meet her son and daughter, and she was an amazing servant here for Monrovia in our library and especially for our veteran services. So she's another one we will miss. So with that, I think I always forget something, but at any rate, that's it for me tonight. And so we will move on then to our administrative reports. And I believe this is, she's done other reports. Where is Ray? Oh, there, she's back there. AR1 fiscal year 24-25 annual comprehensive financial report, otherwise known as the ACFR. And our new finance director, Ray Bowman, is going to present this report. So welcome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And good evening, Mayor Shevlin and members of City Council. Thank you for your time this evening. And thank you for the kind words about Buffy's retirement party. We truly
I know you were a big
Yes, it
part
was.
of that.
It was a team effort for sure. So big kudos to the team, community services, public works, everybody who helped make that event happen. So she may or may not be tuning in tonight. Okay, so like Mayor Shevlin had mentioned, the item before you tonight is the 24-25 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, or ACFR. Tonight, I'll provide a few highlights as part of my presentation, and Ryan Domino, the audit partner from LSL, will quote present with me. Unfortunately, Ryan isn't feeling well this evening, and we always appreciate it when he can join us in person, but due to those circumstances, we've invited him to present remotely instead, so he is on the phone tonight. Our auditors also provided 2 letters regarding this year's audit, and those, along with a copy of the ACFR and the presentation, are the hard copy documents that you have before you tonight. Perfect. So as you all know, each year the city undergoes an annual audit performed by a CPA firm. And the audit includes a review of the city's procedures and adherence to policies. And the auditors also review the city's accounting records and financial transactions. They also take a look and review at the city's internal controls. And when the audit is complete, we prepare the ACFR. Based on the 24-25 audit, I'm happy to report that the city received a clean audit. This is the highest audit result possible, and this means that our financial statements conform with all reporting requirements and that they are fairly presented in all material respects. I'm also happy to share that no audit findings were reported by the auditors for this year's audit. Our audit committee plays an important role in the audit process, and the audit committee provides a forum for open discussion with the auditors and staff. For 24-25, Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly, Councilmember Jimenez, City Treasurer Janet Wall, along with staff from the City Manager's Office and Administrative Services, met with the auditors before the audit started, and then again at the conclusion of the audit to discuss any questions, concerns, or clarification on any audit-related matters. I would like to thank the audit committee members for your commitment to our practices. Thank you so much. Now, on to the ACFR. The ACFR has 3 main sections, and each section serves a specific purpose. There is an introductory section, a financial section, and a statistical section. I did want to note that there are 2 very helpful summary documents, which are the transmittal letter and the MD&A. Those documents provide a high-level financial overview of the city at June 30, 2025. The city has received the Government Finance Officers Association's Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the past 30 years. And this award program is quite extensive. It has a checklist that includes over 500 criteria items. That said, the 23-24 ACFR is currently under GFOA review following a delay related to the data loss. And at the same time, we've submitted the 24-25 ACFR on schedule. GFOA's review typically takes about 8 months, so we expect recognition for both years within that time frame. Next, I wanted to quickly review the financial conditions of the city at June 30, 2025. So 24-25 was a year of continued stability and modest revenue growth. The city ended the year with a positive net position of $74 million, and total asset balances increased by over $25 million. The general fund closed the year with an ending fund balance of over $24 million, with several key revenue sources demonstrating growth, including property tax and TOT. Lastly, the enterprise and internal service funds net positions increased by $3 million. So the city's net position increased by over $26 million compared to the prior year, and this increase was attributable to reductions in net pension and net OPEB liabilities. In addition, reimbursements related to capital improvement projects such as the Canyon Park Repair Project, as well as one-time settlement revenues, all contributed to the increase in net position. The city's continued commitment to managing pension and OPEB costs, investing in infrastructure, and identifying dedicated revenue sources to fund our capital projects has been instrumental to the city's positive net position. Thank you. So in summary, Monrovia ended the year in a positive financial position at June 30, 2025. The City Council's commitment to prudence, diligence, strong stewardship, and sound financial practices has continued to move the city in a positive financial direction. I did want to note that at an upcoming City Council meeting, we'll present the Q2 budget updates, as well as provide information regarding the state of the city's finances as part of the preparation and financial discussion for our upcoming capital projects such as the community center renovations and library enhancements. So staff will be returning with that information at that time. That concludes my portion of the presentation. I'll now turn it over to Ryan Domino.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Hopefully you all can hear me.
Yes.
All right. First of all, I want to say I really appreciate the accommodation for the virtual presentation. I've got the flu and I'm on the upswing, but I don't think anyone really wants me in the room at this point. So I really appreciate that accommodation. So my section of the presentation is going to be fairly brief this evening. I'm just going to kind of go over the auditor's responsibilities, give you a brief overview of some of the scope of the audit, some of the things we did and the timing of that process, as well as just rehash very quickly the results of the audit. It's always a challenge to condense what's approximately 500 staff hours into about 5 minutes, but I'm going to do my best to do that tonight. So I'm not sure where we're at in the presentation, but if you want to go to the auditor's responsibilities slide, I'll start there.
Perfect. We're on the slide.
Excellent. Thank you. So as the city's external auditor, it's my responsibility and my job to conduct the audit on an annual basis in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. This is the baseline of any audit in any industry. But because the city is also a local government, it's subject to 2 other auditing standards. Excuse me. The first one is government auditing standards. So this requires us to not only look at the numbers that go into the financial statements, but we also have to test compliance with pertinent laws, regulations, grant agreements, bond covenants, those types of things. That could have an impact on the city's financial statements. Additionally, because the city receives more than $750,000 of federal funding in a given year, we have to test the major federal programs that the city has in accordance with the uniform guidance. So this is specific requirements and regulations on how to basically manage and administer your grant programs. So these are the three standards that we did the audit in. An audit is a judgment-based process. We don't test every transaction that happens during the year. There's just far too many to do that. So we have to really identify those transactions that are above a certain risk threshold or dollar threshold and focus in on those areas. Otherwise, we'd probably still be doing the audit even now. My team and I, we have to exercise professional skepticism. So even though everyone at the city does an excellent job, we always ask for evidence. An audit is not an audit unless there's evidence to support the numbers. And that's one thing I always drill into my teams is just basically the saying, prove it. Convince me that these numbers are correct. In accordance with government auditing standards, we look at the internal control structure, so we provide feedback to management if there are control deficiencies that need to be resolved. As Director Bowman mentioned, there's no findings this year, so jumping the gun a little bit, but it was overall well, and all those issues with the finding that we had last year appear to be resolved. Finally, the last two responsibilities I have are to review accounting estimates for reasonableness. The major estimates are the pension and other post-employment benefits liabilities. So these are complex calculations that take a true specialist, an actuary, to develop the numbers. So what we do as the auditor is make sure that the data and the information that's given to the actuary to calculate these amounts is correct and that they got everything that they need to basically calculate the numbers. So happy to report, no issues on that. And then finally, my responsibility as the auditor is if I'm looking at your financial statements and your financial position, and it causes me some concern that the city will endure like some sort of severe hardship, like a bankruptcy, or perhaps something that could trigger a default on a bond or something like that down the road, I would be required to report on that. So if you want to go to the next slide, please, I'll talk about some of the stuff we did.
Of course. We're on the next slide.
Excellent, thank you. So excuse me, the audit is really broken into two phases. Due to the delays from the data loss in the prior year, we did start our interim a little bit late this year. We did it in the last week of July. This upcoming year, we expect to be back in a normal schedule sometime in May and June, but this past year is later. During this time, this is where we really evaluate the internal controls and provide feedback to management, as well as kind of evaluate the risks of fraud and develop and perform our planned responses to that. So it's really more of a planning phase more than anything else. Year-end is the phase where we do all the good stuff. This happened over a period of 2 weeks this past year. So October 27th to November 7th were the dates. And during this time, this is where we do what everyone thinks of as the audit. We confirm account balances and status of accounts with banks and other third parties. We'll examine and inspect source documents for other transactions. We'll do analytical procedures. We'll make a number of inquiries of management. All of this to gather sufficient, appropriate audit evidence that those financial statements that are presented to you are accurate and can be relied upon. So all the data gathering and everything wrapped up this year on December 19th when we rendered our unmodified auditor's opinion. And if you want to go to the final slide, I'll talk about the other results we have.
We're on the next slide.
Excellent. So as previously mentioned, we rendered an unmodified opinion, which is what you want, is the best opinion we're allowed to do. It means you can rely on the statements for decision-making and for other compliance purposes. We had no findings in internal control or compliance this year, which is exactly what you want in the companion letter. So very short, standard form language. Some things I do want to discuss that are different this year is you have a change in accounting policy that took effect. So GASB, the Government Accounting Standards Board, issued Statement 101, overcompensated absences. This is your sick and vacation time that employees accrue throughout the year. And the GASB essentially just wanted all the governments across the country to start accruing the same types of sick leave. They found that there was inconsistency across government, and they also wanted a unified methodology of accrual. So overall, everybody had to do this. This wasn't a City of Monrovia specific item. And so throughout the past year, we really coordinated and worked with management to help make sure that this calculation was done properly at year end. And we reviewed it at that time and everything looked good. So I already touched on the estimates. I'll pass on that for further discussion. But the other things I normally have to disclose to you all in these sorts of presentations is if we had difficulties during the audit, if we had any sort of audit adjustments, disagreements with management, or if we came across any fraud, waste, or abuse. And I'm delighted to say that we had no such issues in any of those categories. It was a good routine audit. We always like to have boring audit reports, unfortunately. So that does bring me to the end of my presentation. I just want to, extend some gratitude and some thanks, not only to my audit team. I mentioned it's several hundred hours of work for them, so they did an excellent job. I also want to acknowledge Director Bowman and her staff. They're excellent to work with and got us everything we needed in a timely manner to do this audit properly. Also do really want to acknowledge Buffy. It was her last year running the ship, so to speak. She was in many ways an ideal client, and so she's worked with me for the last couple of years and a number of my LSL partners before me. So on behalf of all of us, we just wish her a happy retirement and thank her for her many years of service. So that is my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions you may have on the audit at this time.
Any questions of either Ray or Ryan? Awesome job. That's what you want to hear. No. Absolutely awesome, and especially with the challenges over time regarding the data failure. I don't know exactly the data loss. And of no fault of ours, but at any rate, just an awesome job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
No
you.
comments, guys?
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, thank you. Feel better.
I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
This is a receive and file report, and so it is hereby received and it shall be filed. So, wait a second.
A motion?
Oh, do we have to do a motion for a receive and file? Okay. Everybody's different. Then do we have a motion to receive and file fiscal year
I'd like to make a
2024-25?
motion to receive and file fiscal year 2024-2025. You can second it, Larry.
You want to second that, Larry?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and let's have a roll call vote.
Council members Belden,
Yes.
Jimenez,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly,
Yes.
and Mayor Shevlin.
Yes. And I'll have to talk to Daryl at Foothill Transit. We have a kind of a running joke about running the meeting and the receive and file portion, but we don't do a motion. But I know that always,
I think the ACFR is important enough that
yes,
there
to
probably
do
ought to be
yes.
a
Yes, it most
record that you
definitely
got
is. Thank you very much. Okay, then we are moving on to AR2, Amendment to City Council Protocols and Administrative Policy File Number 1.31 to clarify details regarding the City Council liaison and other appointments, the appointment of the Mayor Pro Tem and other City Council protocols. And we did have an addition to that item. It's
I'll
it's an
cover it in
update of Section 8, so
cover
you'll
it in the
cover it.
report, yeah.
Thank you very much. And Craig Steele, our city attorney, is making this presentation. All yours, Craig.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Just briefly, it's always, of course, best practice to periodically review bylaws and protocols and make sure that we're sort of up to date, as well as being aligned between process and policy. And on occasion, with a longstanding document like this council protocols document, we sort of find ourselves drifting away in certain ways. And the course of this review, the council directed us to sort of bring back that alignment between what's happening and what's been happening, and what the document says. These are all kind of relatively minor things, but it's just nice to have everything written and aligned with what the council practice has been, particularly with regard to the selection of the mayor pro tem, as well as the way that council members are assigned to their liaison, various liaison positions to boards and commissions, and just a couple of other minor issues in the document. So what we've done is proposed changing the protocol document to provide that the mayor pro tem position is a one-year position with a rotation based on seniority. And under the old document or the current document, it talks about the mayor pro tem being elected. It's kind of seems more political than it really is in practice, and so the council thought it was a good idea to make it clear that it's a rotation and it's a one-year term and based on seniority. So that's one change. The other major change is in Section 8, where we talk about the selection of council members to the various liaison assignments, clarify that those are one-year terms, and that the process is a kind of a consensus process, and making sure that to the extent possible, the council really agrees on who's sitting with which of the various boards and commissions. And those appointments are subject to a majority vote of the council. That would be the way of resolving if you couldn't come to a consensus. And then we've also added, as the mayor mentioned, a change to the version of Section 8 that's in your packet. You've got it at the dais. The one that the mayor pointed out as unusual is the Art and Public Places Committee, which by the municipal code says the council member assigned is the chair of the committee. And we have in this document that council liaisons are not voting members, so I've just given you a little bit alternate language to account for that Art and Public Places Committee. And finally, at the end of Section 8, you can see that we've added some text so that the mayor can give on the appointments to outside organizations like Cal Cities, the COG, those various organizations. In making those appointments, the mayor can give some deference to people who've been in a leader or maybe in the middle of a leadership position at the time we make these appointments, or have a leadership position or a longstanding commitment coming up, so that those folks are not, sort of yanked from a committee at just the time they're going to become a chair or something like that. So there's some language in to recognize that. So those are the major changes. There's some other kind of cleanup stuff. We've deleted the mention of the mayor and city council office, which no longer exists, kind of thing, all shown in the red line version that's in the council packet. And be happy to answer any questions. Staff recommendation is to approve these changes with the addition of the one that's at the dais.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Steele? Thank you. Yeah, it is amazing. Over time, you've got a policy, but by process and just the way we've done things, you get further and further away from the actual protocol. So with that, if there are no questions, then do we have a motion to approve this?
I move to approve the proposed changes to the administrative policy file number 131 as presented.
We have a motion and a second. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Council members Belden,
Yes.
Jimenez.
Yes.
Spicer.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Dr. Kelly.
Yes.
And Mayor Shevlin.
Yes. And then at our next council meeting, we will actually be doing our reorganization. So at any rate, then, we are at the end of our meeting this evening. I did want to give a shout out for our team this evening. Alice is not here, and our city clerk, Sarah Godinez, is filling in for Alice this evening. And we have Stephanie Rivas, Administrative Assistant in the City Clerk's Office. So thank you for joining us this evening and doing such a great job. And then in adjournment this evening, we have unfortunately, several people to acknowledge. Stella Vickers, mother of Code Enforcement Officer Charlotte Cush. Shirley Arnethia Cole, aunt, and Walter Wayne Hardwick, brother-in-law of Genia Mills. She lost two of her relatives.
And she's in the audience right now, Gina.
Oh, hi, Gina, and our hearts and prayers go out to you and your family members. Steve McKitty, retired Monrovia Fire Department engineer. And then last was added to the list last Friday, a very close friend of mine, a longtime resident of Monrovia, an active member of the Monrovia Historical Preservation Group. She worked very hard on the Encinitas Historic District, Mary Stolman. She'd had a long fight with cancer, and it finally caught up with her. So at any rate, our hearts and prayers go out to all the family members, friends, and relatives. And I'm hoping this list gets shorter. We've had a couple of meetings now where there are quite a few people. So with that, we are adjourning this meeting at 8:50. Thank you for joining us.